As the story goes, I arrived into this world in a church building. As the story had it, my mother, a very religious woman who was always in attendance at the early morning prayer meeting, fell into labor. On this wonderful day, she gave birth to me right in the church building. This was on September 27, 1954. While in the primary school in those days, being a mission school, I heard lots of stories from the scriptures. Many of these religious stories talked about the beauty, the joy, the peace, and the splendor of heaven. On the glorious day in 1964, at the age of 10, I said to a childhood friend, "The heaven we sing about is very close. So what are we doing here? There is no sorrow or weeping or dying in heaven. Look," pointing to the horizon, "heaven is just touching down not very far from here. Come on, let's go." So we took off on a humorous trip to heaven, running as fast as our small legs could carry us. However, the farther we went, the farther heaven seemed to become, as the horizon kept stretching out in front of us. Then we met an old man on his way home from his farm, and he asked us, "Children, where are you going?" "To heaven," we replied. "What?" the old man screamed in consternation. "Get back." "No way," we said. "We must go to heaven." We actually believed that the man was Satan, who would usually want to hinder people's access to heaven. In the long run, the old man succeeded in chasing us back. What did I intend to do when I get to the gate of heaven, you may ask? Simple. I was going to knock on the door and say to God, "Here we are. We prefer to stay here than in the world." The story of my life cannot be complete without a mention of the great foundation I had from my grandmother's upbringing. She was Rachel. I miss her. My growing up was surrounded by a number of people from whom I drew a lot of lessons, but the most remarkable of them all was my grandmother. Can you imagine learning the dignity of labor as a child? Because I also saw it in her, it made a lifetime impression on me. I earned my first money at the age of 16 while still in the high school. In those days, such was not common. Every student depended absolutely on their parents or guardians for their requirements. Of course, I had no business going for anything such as manual labor, because both my parents and my granny were comfortable enough to provide whatever I needed. However, during one of our holidays, I joined the labor force in digging the foundation of the General Hospital project in my town. I had blisters on my hands, but I felt like a man. From that money, I bought myself a pair of shoes called Apollo. That was the first thing I ever bought for myself, just by riding on the principle of dignity of labor. You can now see that I was a serious child, not a loafer.